Giving constructive feedback to candidates is something that we're used to doing. But when was the last time you gave some honest feedback to your client? The idea can be pretty daunting, but if you handle it the right way, providing feedback to your clients can actually help strengthen your relationship and lead to a long line of repeat business. So how do we approach giving our clients this feedback? Focus on the situation and not them. It's good to be honest with clients, but sometimes giving feedback to a hiring manager can put them on the spot and even make them feel a little bit embarrassed, especially if they're not expecting it. And when people feel embarrassed, well, they tend to get defensive, which is probably going to end badly. A good way to avoid slipping your client into defensive mode is to focus your feedback on the situation rather than something that they've done. For example, instead of saying, "You're expecting too much," try something like, "What can I do to help manage your expectations better moving forward?" This approach will come across as a productive conversation than a direct criticism, helping you both to work together. Don't point the finger when giving feedback. Acknowledge that you're also part of the process. Using "we" rather than "you" is a good and simple way to do this. By using the word "we," you're referring to yourself and your client as a team that needs to work better together and get better results. And using the word "you" is implying that you think the problem lies entirely with them. It's easy to see how much these words can change a sentence when you see them side by side. You need to communicate better, vs. we need to communicate better. Even if you're feeling like the client is responsible for an issue you're having, be the bigger person and accept that the situation can only be improved by working better together. And compliment sandwiches. You probably use this tactic already when giving your candidates feedback. I use it in and out of work quite a lot. In the sales world, we call it a compliment sandwich. In the recruitment world, it's probably better known as a shit sandwich. I know, it's charming. But whatever you call it, it's a straightforward technique and it can be really effective at delivering any negative feedback in a more positive way. A compliment sandwich works by starting and ending your feedback with something positive, touching on any negatives in between. It helps soften the blow for any feedback your client might not like. And more importantly, it's likely to help them take on board what you've got to say. Use evidence to back up your claims. Difficult feedback will come across less negative if you're able to provide evidence that backs up your points. Just whenever possible. Try and use first-hand information and data to back up anything you want to tell your client that you think they might not like. For example, if a specific line manager is putting candidates off a job when they're interviewing them, prove it by showing your client the number of candidates who've pulled out of the process after interviewing with this line manager. If you base your feedback on solid evidence rather than just your own opinion, your client will be more inclined to respect your feedback and more likely to consider making changes that you recommend. These are the types of conversations that build strong client relationships and can help lead to winning more retained business.